Thank you, Deputy Speaker. And wasn't that speech from the member for Kingsford Smith a typical Labor speech? Of course, some wonderful lies in there, some wonderful lies, typical Labor lies, suggesting that the government is cutting funding for hospitals and schools when they know full well hospital and school funding is at record highs under the Turnbull government. But that won't hold them back, Deputy Speaker. They shall lie because Labor tells lies very well. Something else Labor does well, Deputy Speaker, is raise taxes. Despite the member for Kingsford Smith's long speech about their, as they call it, alternative economic plan, the Australian public know full well that the Labor Party has a plan for an additional $200 billion of new taxes. $200 billion. You know, every mum and dad out there, vote Labor and you will be poorer. Vote Labor, you will have less money in your pocket. They know, Deputy Speaker, that if they are owners of homes, they will have to pay more. They know, Deputy Speaker, that they will be able to save less. As for retirees, Deputy Speaker, retirees are absolutely in the sights of the Labor Party. They haven't modelled it well, as we've worked out this week. They've totally botched it, a $10 billion black hole. But absolutely, the Labor Party are going hard after retirees because they love taxing, Deputy Speaker. They love to tax. And this is why I'm so happy, Deputy Speaker, today, because I had the sense, I sensed in the member for Kingsford Smith's speech that they actually support at least instant asset write-offs, accelerated depreciation. Now, that's good news, Deputy Speaker. It's an hallelujah moment because the Labor Party has had to come to Jesus on this one. They have realised that we actually can reduce the impact on business. We can help businesses out. And so we need to capitalise on that and move forward, because it's once in a lifetime, Deputy Speaker, that we see the Labor Party actually wanting to help small and medium businesses. And so I'm happy to rise today, Deputy Speaker, to support the Treasury Law Amendment, Accelerated Depreciation for Small Business Entity Bill of 2018. And I do so, Deputy Speaker, with my electorate of Fairfax sitting smack bang in the middle of one of the highest growing regions in Australia. And what I constantly hear from small businesses in my electorate is two things. Number one, they want to keep creating jobs. They want to keep creating jobs for Australians. And number two, they want to see government continuing to support small business. And indeed, this is what the Turnbull government is doing, Deputy Speaker. And we know we're delivering for small business because we have seen more than 1,000 jobs being created every single day. Over 1,000 jobs created every single day. That's over 1 million jobs created since the Coalition were elected in 2013. The Turnbull government is supporting Australian businesses to capitalise on an economy now in its 27th year of consecutive growth. We're supporting Australian businesses to grow and capitalise on growth beyond our own borders, with global growth now at its fastest pace in 6 years. And there's a reason, Deputy Speaker, there's a reason why the Australian economy's GDP growth is looking so strong. Why the last quarter the national accounts showed a 1% increase in our GDP. Why we're now looking at a 12-month improvement of 3.1%. And that is because this Turnbull government is wanting to empower and is empowering small and medium businesses and all businesses alike. It is fundamental in our DNA to empower people to achieve their best. And that is precisely what we are doing with our tax regime. That is why we are supporting tax cuts for businesses. It is why we have already delivered tax cuts for small businesses, and is why we are also cutting bureaucracy to make their life easier, Deputy Speaker. In fact, the latest regulatory reform report shows the bureaucratic burden on business was cut by more than $800 million a year between the 1st of January 2016 and the 30th of June 2017. Now, we know, Deputy Speaker, that this bill before us today is a popular one. And I believe, despite the comments from the member for Kingston Smith, that it has widespread support among people in this chamber. It also has extensive support from business and industry. And that's because it's good policy. And we know good policy when it works. And this policy has proven to work. Extending the $20,000 instant asset write-off to the 30th of June 2019 supports small businesses to invest in their own core assets. And this extension is for all small business entities, even those who have previously opted out of the accelerated depreciation rules. Now, as for assets over $20,000, these can continue to be pooled and depreciated at a 15% rate in the first year and 30% each subsequent year. Deputy Speaker, our accelerated depreciation measure, coupled with the Turnbull government's 2017 initiative to change the threshold that defines a small business from a turnover of $2 million up to a turnover of $10 million, is having a broad and positive impact on the small business sector right across the Australian economy. In my region of the Sunshine Coast in Queensland, more than 5,500 small businesses have already taken advantage of the instant asset write-off. 5,500 businesses have already used this measure. And what they're seeing as a result is more money put in their pockets. And what they are typically doing with that more money they see, Deputy Speaker, is they're investing in their business and they are employing more locals on the Sunshine Coast. It is giving them confidence to invest and grow. It is giving them the confidence they need to create more jobs. As early as March this year, more than 12,700 new jobs had already been secured by Sunshine Coast residents. And this number would have no doubt doubled by now that we're heading towards the end of June. Now, these are real, tangible outcomes resulting from a highly practical set of measures adopted by this government to help small businesses grow and be successful. And as sure as night follows day, it also leads to the employment of more Australians. I know this because I used to own and run my own small business, Deputy Speaker. And while I'm no longer in business myself, I of course speak regularly with business owners right across the Sunshine Coast, and they're singing praises for this measure. I've been fortunate enough to recently have the Honourable Craig Laundy, Minister for Small Business, Small and Family Business, and also the Assistant Minister for Science, Jobs and Innovation, Senator Zed Seselja, and last year the Honourable Michael McCormack, in his then capacity as Minister for Small Business, visit my electorate of Fairfax. Now, these visits allowed me to introduce the ministers to many small business owners and visit their workplaces, like the printing business in Maroochydore that employs 10 locals because of the instant asset write-off tax concession was able to help them purchase a new finishing machine for their printing press, and the self-employed photographer who purchased a much-needed drone to expand his business into aerial photography. These are just two simple examples, Deputy Speaker, of the Sunshine Coast's 40,000 small businesses investing back into their business because of measures such as the instant asset write-off. Deputy Speaker, those around the chamber may not know that the business environment is quite unique on the Sunshine Coast. In fact, according to the Chief Economist of Australia, the Sunshine Coast is one of Australia's only non-urban regions fostering innovative entrepreneurship, comprising a unique clustering of R&D expenditure, IP generation and entrepreneurship attributes. Now, that may have something to do with our burgeoning medicinal cannabis industry, Deputy Speaker, or maybe even our 13 craft breweries. I'll admit I felt a warm glow at budget time when the Turnbull government took the popular decision to lower the keg tax for craft breweries while increasing the alcohol excise refund cap to $100,000. Now, these measures aside, they are, even though some have joked about the keg tax, they are again tangible outcomes that are delivering for small businesses, increasing production and helping them invest in quality improvements, and more than anything, helping them hire more staff. Deputy Speaker, we know that small businesses are vulnerable to sudden adverse business conditions. It can put a strain particularly on a company's cash flow, and the smaller a business is, the more that strain of cash flow hurts. That is precisely why incentive measures such as the instant asset write-off are so important. Further, and quite deliberately, it is the temporary nature of the measure through to the 30th of June 2019 that the government hopes will encourage small businesses to bring their capital investments forward to help feed business confidence and drive economic activity at the local level. Continuing the support for immediate deductibility for businesses with an annual turnover of less than $10 million by allowing an instant deduction in the year the cost was incurred for depreciating assets of less than $20,000, while also offering the potential to leverage a small business asset pool for other depreciating assets that cost $20,000 or more, is all excellent news, Deputy Speaker. Excellent news for the more than 3.3 million small business owners across the country and the 40,000 small businesses on the Sunshine Coast. And for those reasons, Deputy Speaker, I'm more than happy to commend the bill to the House.
I thank the member for Fairfax. The question is, the member be agreed to?